Every wedding photo on your wall, every magazine cover at the supermarket, every glossy advertisement on a billboard. Every single one of those images was made by a person standing in a specific spot at a specific moment, holding a camera, watching the light. Today, we meet one of those people. Hello and welcome to What Do You Actually Do? The podcast where we explore the fascinating and often misunderstood jobs people have, and we learn English through real conversation. I'm your host, Alex, and today we're going to London in the United Kingdom. Our guest is Sophie, who has been a professional photographer for over 15 years, working across weddings, fashion, and editorial photography for some of the biggest magazines in Britain. Sophie, thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, Alex. Lovely to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, Sophie, when you tell people you're a professional photographer, what's the typical reaction?
It depends. Some people light up and want to ask about gear and famous people I've photographed. Others say, "Oh, my niece does photography too. She's brilliant on Instagram." And I just smile because professional photography is a different world from social media photography. But I never make people feel bad about that.
So, in simple terms, what does a professional photographer actually do?
My job is to make images that solve a specific problem for a client. A wedding couple wants to remember their day forever. A magazine wants to sell copies and tell a story visually. A fashion brand wants people to want their clothes. Every shoot is a brief with a goal. My job is to deliver images that meet that brief, on time, on budget, and beautifully.
How does someone end up doing this?
Many paths. Some go to art school and study photography formally. Some apprentice as assistants for established photographers and learn on the job. Some are self-taught and build a portfolio over years. I went to a photography college in London for 2 years, then assisted for 3 years before going independent. So I had a hybrid path.
What does assisting actually mean?
An assistant works for a senior photographer, carrying gear, setting up lighting, managing files, sometimes shooting backup. You earn very little, you work very hard, and you learn faster than any school could teach you. It is the apprenticeship of the photography world. I assisted 3 different photographers in 3 different specialties: weddings, editorial, and product. And I would not trade those years for anything.
So you work across multiple genres. Most people specialize in one. Why several?
Honestly, financial survival. Wedding photography is busy from May to October, but very quiet from November to April. Fashion has different seasons. Editorial is unpredictable. By having multiple income streams, I have steady work all year. I also like the variety. A wedding day uses different skills than a magazine cover.
What does a typical week look like for you?
It varies wildly. In wedding season, I might shoot 2 weddings a weekend, then spend Tuesday to Friday editing thousands of photographs, answering emails, doing pre-shoot meetings with the next couple, and updating my website. In quieter months, I might be on a fashion shoot for 2 days, then editing and pitching new clients for the rest of the week. Probably 70% of my time is actually behind a computer, not behind a camera.
70% behind a computer? People don't realize that.
They don't. The shooting is the visible part. The editing, the client communication, the marketing, the accounting, the chasing of unpaid invoices. That is the bulk of the work. Photography is a small business, and small businesses are mostly admin.
Walk me through what a wedding day looks like.
A wedding is a marathon. I usually arrive at the bride's location around 9 a.m. I photograph the morning preparations, hair, makeup, dress moments, the family arriving. Then I move to the ceremony venue, scope out the light and the angles, and shoot the ceremony itself, which is maybe 30 minutes. After, there are family group photographs, which is honestly the hardest part of the day. Getting people to stand in the right place is harder than any artistic challenge. Then the couple's portraits, the reception, the speeches, the first dance, and finally the evening party. I leave around 11 p.m. I have walked maybe 20,000 steps and taken 3,000 images. Then I drive home and sleep.
That sounds exhausting.
It is exhausting. The next day my back hurts and I cannot lift my camera bag. Wedding photographers age fast in our backs and shoulders.
What about a fashion shoot? How is that different?
Fashion is more controlled. We have a studio, a hair and makeup team, a stylist, an art director, sometimes a producer, and the model. We plan everything in advance: the location, the lighting setup, the looks. I might shoot only 50 or 60 final images in a whole day, but each one is highly produced. There is more crew, more equipment, more tea breaks.
Tea breaks.
Many tea breaks. We are British.
What's the hardest part of being a professional photographer?
The instability. You are only as good as your last shoot. A great year can be followed by a slow year. Income is irregular. You are constantly chasing your next job. I know photographers with 20 years of experience who still feel anxious about where the next booking will come from. That part never goes away.
And the creative side? The pressure to deliver?
That is real too. A bride's wedding day cannot be reshot. If your camera breaks at the wrong moment, if you miss the first kiss, if you mess up the lighting on the speeches, there is no second chance. I always carry 2 cameras, multiple lenses, backup batteries, multiple cards, an emergency lighting kit. If something fails, you keep working. The client has no idea anything went wrong.
What about the best parts?
2 things. First, capturing a moment that means everything to someone. A grandfather seeing his granddaughter as a bride, a tear at the speech, a child's hand reaching for a parent. When that image lands in their inbox and they cry, that is what I do this for.
That's lovely. And the second?
Light. I am genuinely obsessed with light. The way light falls on a wall at sunset, the way a window casts a shadow across a face. I see light everywhere, and when I capture light beautifully, I feel a kind of joy that nothing else gives me. It sounds strange, but it is true.
Do you have a memorable story for us?
One that comes back to me a lot. I shot a wedding maybe 7 years ago. Lovely couple, small wedding, simple country church. The grandfather of the bride was very old and very ill. He had insisted on attending. During the ceremony, he held his granddaughter's hand for a moment as she walked past him. I was about 10 feet away with a long lens, and I caught a single frame of that exact second. The look on her face, the look on his. He passed away 3 weeks later. The bride wrote to me. She said that photograph was the most precious thing they owned. They had it framed enormous on the wall of their living room. I cried at my desk when I read that email.
That is beautiful.
It is why I do this.
A funny one too?
Laughs. Yes, I shot a fashion editorial in a barn once, and the brief was very dramatic. High fashion in a working farm setting. Halfway through the shoot, a goat wandered into the frame and started eating the model's expensive sample dress. The stylist was screaming. The model was laughing. The art director was filming the whole thing on his phone. The goat was completely committed. I just kept shooting. The image of the goat eating the dress ended up being the cover of the magazine. The editor said, "We were going to use the dramatic ones, but the goat photo is the one." Sometimes the moment chooses you.
The goat photo, that is fantastic.
We sent the goat a thank you card. The farmer framed it.
For someone listening who wants to be a professional photographer, what's your advice?
3 things. First, your gear matters far less than you think. People obsess over expensive cameras. The truth is, The photographer matters infinitely more than the camera. Master a basic camera before you ever upgrade. Second, assist before you go independent. Spend 2 or 3 years working for someone better than you. You will learn things you can never learn from a YouTube tutorial. Posture, professionalism, how to handle a difficult client, how to recover from a disaster. Real photography is in those skills. And third, treat it as a business, not just an art form. Track your income, pay your taxes, manage your time. Photographers who fail are usually wonderful artists who are bad at business. The artists who succeed are the ones who also run a tight small business.
Excellent advice. Sophie, thank you so much for sharing your world.
Thank you, Alex. Lovely chat.
That was Sophie, a professional photographer from London. Now let's review some useful vocabulary. First, editorial. Editorial photography is photography for magazines and newspapers, telling a story alongside written articles. It's different from advertising photography. Second, brief. A brief is the written description of what a client wants from a creative job. Photographers, designers, and writers all work to briefs. Third, to shoot. To shoot in photography simply means to take photographs. A photo shoot is a session where a photographer works. Fourth, portfolio. A portfolio is a collection of a photographer's best work, used to show clients what they can do. Sophie's portfolio is on her website. And finally, aperture. Aperture is the opening in a camera lens that controls how much light enters. A wide aperture creates that soft, blurred background you see in beautiful portraits. And that's it for today's episode of What Do You Actually Do? A huge thank you to Sophie. Join us next time when we trade London streets for the glittering Mediterranean. We're going to Monaco to talk to Isabella, who works on a luxury private yacht for some of the wealthiest people in the world. Until then, take care.